I had to look it up to be like, there was an interesting game I saw. I wonder what that was. Yeah, it was a big deal.
So many of our listeners probably are like, I would love to see that. You didn't even know.
I didn't, and I'm so sorry that it was wasted on me.
Aww. Hello, Eepers. Welcome to another episode of Extra English Podcast with Misha
and Larissa. We're two Canadian English teachers talking about life in Canada, our lives, and anything else that might interest us. And hopefully will interest you too.
So join us for another conversation.
So today we're going to talk about sports, which is kind of hilarious because neither Misha nor I play sports or really likes much sports or knows much about it.
We're very unsporty, so this is a funny topic choice, but we have a few things to say.
We do. So for 5 years, I lived in Doha, Qatar, and that was from 2008 until about 2013. So at that time, Qatar they had bid to host the World Cup.
Oh.
Which they did actually do in 2022, cool. But it takes a long time to get ready to host an event like that. So they were bringing in a lot of very high level sporting events to to practice and to show the Olympic Committee, not the Olympic Committee, the FIFA committee that they could do this. So we had the opportunity to watch a lot of incredible athletes.
Wow.
And things that I would never even think to watch. I saw Olympic level diving, high dive board diving.
Crazy.
Pair, synchronized, individuals. Where would I don't know anybody who is an aquatic diver. Where would I see that?
I don't even know, where in Canada, if I wanted to watch that, how I could do it.
There must be places because there are people who do that.
Yes. Here, this is the lack of sports knowledge coming in. But that's so amazing that you got to see that.
Yeah, it was so interesting and impressive. I remember just because I've seen it on TV on the Olympics, this kind of athlete, but in real life to see they're just up there and then they're tumbling and they're landing in the water and they're not making a splash. It's so incredible. Yeah. And I don't even think I had to pay to go to that one. They just really wanted people to come and they wanted to work out the kinks.
Sure. I think. Figure out their system. That's amazing.
It wasn't just that. I saw professional level or high level horse jumping. Horse jumping.
That crazy.
So I actually have a niece who does compete, does equestrian competition here.
I have a friend also, but actually I've never watched one of her shows. Have you seen your niece do
I haven't, no.
Yeah.
It was so fascinating for about a half an hour.
The sports limit for non-sportsers.
I mean, the problem is I couldn't really tell how one was better than the other.
Yes.
When you're into a sport, in this case, the horses and the riders, and you follow their statistics, and I didn't have that. But
when something is particularly a skilled move.
Yeah.
But still, anything with animals would be fun for at least a half hour.
At least a half. Maybe it was even longer than a half an
40
hour.
minutes. That's so cool.
That was always at night.
Oh, really?
It's really interesting. Most of these events were held at night. The diving was indoors.
Yeah.
But because Qatar is so hot,
of course,
they would host it. They would have lights on, and it wasn't possible. It wouldn't be fair to the horses or the athletes to compete in the day.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder when they eventually hosted the World Cup, did they have the games at night?
How did I not even watch that World Cup?
We could probably go back.
I'm sure it's online.
Clips of it now.
Yeah. They were doing a lot of research into ways to do air conditioning and make it comfortable for people and players.
Yeah.
But I kind of just lost track of that story.
Well, fair. It was many years after you moved back.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. And I had other stuff going on.
Larissa, when you were talking about not knowing the sport well, this reminds me of the only sport I've ever really learned much about, which is rugby.
Rugby?
very tough sport, rugby.
I know so little about rugby.
I don't know a lot, but I know more about that than probably any other sport.
Wow. I feel like that's an intense sport.
I think it is intense. I think there are often injuries in rugby. Yes.
You've got to be strong and skilled. And I also know that it's very popular in some parts of the world.
It is very popular. And the funny thing is, I was living in a part of the world at the time I got to know about rugby where it actually isn't very popular.
Not Canada. And also not popular. Like, it could have been here, right?
It could have been. That's right. I was living in Laos, which is the country in Southeast Asia between Thailand and Vietnam. It's a relatively small country. Wonderful country. I loved it there. Strangely, I became the manager of their national rugby team.
Of course you did.
For a few months. Only because, not even a few months, for one particular tournament. My close friend, who I met in India, although she's American.
Okay.
She now lives there permanently, and she is a rugby player.
Okay.
Retired at this point. It's not the kind of game you play into your 50s.
Right.
Not that she's 50. Anyway, she is very involved in rugby in Laos and internationally, but she was involved at the time with the Laos Rugby Federation.
Okay.
And they were going to a tournament and they needed someone to be the manager. So with no relevant experience, I volunteered to do that.
What does a manager do?
Well, I would arrange, like when we went to the tournament, I would handle the schedule.
Okay.
I made sure we had the kit, which is what they called the sports clothes. I think that might be a British or Australian term. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that's what they call it in football, like soccer too.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I think so.
And
I think I learned that from TV.
such a useful source of knowledge about sports. Anyways, things like logistics, like a lot of our travel arrangements, stuff that you didn't need special knowledge to be able to do.
You just need to be organizationally adept.
Exactly. And I'm sure other managers do more, but I was doing what I could do. But because of that, I would go to the practices. Obviously, I went to the tournament. So I ended up learning like kind of the basic rules and also the players, a lot of them were my friends. So I just have never been so excited about sports. But I would stand on the sidelines and be screaming, pie, pie, which is go, go. And so excited when they got a point. I forget what it's called. Not a goal? Oh, my friend's going to be embarrassed by me. I've forgotten. But I even learned a few like relevant sports terms in Lao, which was a funny set of vocabulary. Like ball is ban and practice they called som, things like this. So it was fun. It was a fun way to interact with people, to make some friends, etc.
Really, that is the beautiful thing about sports.
Absolutely.
Okay, there's the exercise. Like, it's good for your body.
So discipline is something I could use a little more of. That's a good thing about sports.
Yeah, discipline too.
Yeah.
But then it's the bonding with the team, especially a team sport. There are individual sports, but a team sport has something really special about it.
Absolutely. And the tournament was international. So it was nice to see people from all different cultures interacting in this thing they have in common. It was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've never seen rugby, but I have seen really great tennis.
Oh, tennis.
I watched Serena Williams play tennis live.
Wow. In Qatar also.
In Qatar at night.
Of course.
In the winter.
Oh.
They hosted a men's tournament and then also a women's tournament. The men's tournament I think was on a weekend that I was really busy, so I didn't go, but the women's tournament was a different weekend, and again I got really affordable tickets, and I saw it was like world class tennis. It was incredible to watch these women, show their strength, and tennis looks kind of easy. Like that, the concept of it is easy. It's not.
No, but I feel like at least it's simple enough that as an unknowledgeable observer, you could kind of get it a little bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I totally understood what was happening.
Yeah.
And I could see the skill.
Yes.
Like when someone does like a little hit and then it flops, or when they go to the corner, right? I can see the strategy. I can see Oh yeah, it was fun. That
That's
was fun.
amazing. That would be so fun.
It was. It was. It's incredible that I had the opportunity just to go
Yes.
to go and see these incredible things that should only be on TV.
That normally probably the audience is full of enthusiasts for that particular sport.
Yes, and there were
And here
a
you
lot
are.
of empty seats actually
interesting.
because I think they might have been friendly competitions rather than they weren't getting paid a lot potentially to win them. I'm not sure. At the time, it was a very interesting time in Qatar when they just really wanted to host some big things.
Yeah,
and
building
they
up
did.
that international sports. That's cool. Good for them.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, and interesting for you to be there at that time when, because if you went now, probably you wouldn't be attending those big events.
I would not. I'm sure the tickets would be expensive. So the FIFA World Cup is coming to Toronto and Vancouver
Of course.
in June, July.
Oh.
It's very soon, and I've heard that tickets are hundreds, if not thousands of dollars.
Whoa.
And so, like, a lot of people
Yeah.
who would be interested and who are excited because it's right in our backyard
Yes,
won't be able to go.
that's true.
And I think probably Qatar is more like that now. Maybe not thousands of dollars,
Yeah.
but certainly there would be a ticket price.
Yeah, more than when you were going to these
Yeah,
events.
absolutely.
Interesting. That's so fun. I haven't watched a lot of sports live, but in my house growing up, there were two popular sports, which I think are probably pretty popular in general in Canada.
Let me guess. Hockey
Hockey.
and baseball?
Yes, baseball was actually the most. My dad liked to watch baseball.
My dad too.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I would watch it with him. I didn't care about the baseball, but I like to spend time with my dad.
Yeah. There was a time when I could name most of the regular players on the Toronto Blue Jays team.
Wow.
Yeah, because we watched it faithfully on Sundays. Like my dad would watch it and I would watch with him sometimes.
Cute.
They have all retired. I don't know anybody anymore, but there was a time.
There was a time. That's fun.
Yeah. The
More
things
than I
you
ever
do
knew.
just to hang out with people you like.
Just to bond.
yeah.
Anyway, we would watch hockey sometimes. The hockey is what everyone thinks of when they think of Canadian sports, which is true. And I watched a lot of it in high school just because I was friends with hockey players. They wanted to watch hockey. I suffered through it for social gain.
Hockey I find is hard to watch
Yeah.
because the puck is so small that
Yeah.
I have a hard time following it around the rink. And it
Yeah.
goes fast.
It does go fast.
I mean, you can tell by where the people are.
Yes.
But I don't often see when they get a goal.
No, I don't. Oh, we're gonna annoy some Canadians by not being enthusiastic about hockey. It's also a long game.
It is.
Oh, baseball's also long.
Oh, baseball is so long.
Baseball is really
I'm
long.
done after 7 innings, always. 6,
Maybe
5. 5 is perfect amount.
2. Give each team a turn. Is that how it works? Anyway, we would go sometimes to see baseball in person when I was a kid. We had tickets. We had a connection. Sometimes we'd get baseball tickets to see the Toronto Blue Jays, which are the team closest to where I grew up and where we currently live. And it's, I mean, I think it's like music, like anything where in person is always more fun.
Yes. And even if you don't care about the sport, like,
Yes.
what do I know about tennis? But
No.
I was fascinated
Yes.
watching artists do their thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Skilled people. And I think you pick up on the energy of the
Yes.
people around you, right? The crowd's excited. And
Yeah.
I had a Toronto Blue Jays hat I would wear.
Well, look at you.
Yeah, I was into it. Can't name a single player, but I watched some games.
I have a Toronto Blue Jays shirt that I put on.
Oh.
Or no, I have it just in case one of my kids gets invited to a game.
It's your emergency sports shirt.
That's right.
That's cute. One part that was fun is in Toronto, there's something, at the time it was called the Sky Dome. I don't know if it still is.
It's a Rogers Center now.
Right, the
But
Rogers
it was
Centre.
called the Sky Dome, which is a cool name.
It is a cool name. And maybe it's something that other places have, but it was like a dome, which is a rounded half circle shape on the ground. And the roof would open up. So when the weather was nice, you're out in the sun, you're getting that nice fresh air. It's a cool, like, architectural.
Yeah. And
structure.
I don't think it's unique, but it was very special.
Yes,
Especially at the time it was built. Was that maybe the 90s?
maybe. Yeah, it was definitely when I was going, it was the 90s. And also, it's right at the base of the CN Tower. We're quite close. So they're kind of a pair, and you would see the CN Tower when you went. It was neat.
Yeah. I think, so because my dad liked baseball, we went to Toronto to see a game every now and then. And I feel like I was there once when it opened. Like I was there while the dome was opening, and it felt very exciting.
That would feel cool.
Yeah.
Classic Canadian experiences, these.
Yeah. So people our age might still call it Sky Dome, our age and older.
Yeah.
Even though that's not what it's called anymore.
I'm going to keep calling it that.
It's a good name.
It is a good name. It's descriptive.
Yeah.
Says what it is.
So we've both mentioned that we don't really follow or love sports so much. And so it's kind of a shame that all these incredible experiences were given to me, like they were wasted on me. I have a bit of an embarrassing story. Also in Qatar, in 2010, I went to see a soccer game. Football, if you will. Soccer, as we would call it here. Everybody was going. You know, with my colleagues, we were all going together. It was great, fine, whatever. It was, again, a friendly match, an exhibition game, because they wanted to test out how everything was working.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of a dull game in that the score was 1-0.
At the end. Okay, not a lot of
Which is not
action.
really surprising for soccer, I guess. But I'm used to, like in other sports, sometimes we get more action, right? Like basketball. Think about basketball. It's like 100 and something.
Football, we're unimpressed with your amount of points. You should change the sport.
But I mean, it was fun to be there and the atmosphere and whatever. And I don't think I realized how big a deal it was. But there were people like who had flown in for this event.
Oh.
So it wasn't just local. Then the stadium was packed.
Oh.
People were coming in. And so I had a sense that there's something significant happening here, but I didn't really understand.
Yeah.
So this week I researched it. I went back to be like, what was that? 2010, this was an exhibition game, Argentina versus Brazil.
Oh.
Misha doesn't know the significance of that. I had to look it up.
Sounds cool.
Argentina versus Brazil. These are like the best teams in the world.
Oh.
They came to Qatar to play each other just for fun. I went for cheap money.
Yeah.
And I was like, I saw Messi get a goal.
Even I know that name.
I saw that.
That's crazy.
And then I forgot about it.
He was the 1 point.
He was the 1 point. But then
Wow.
it was, I had to look it up to be like, there was an interesting game I saw. I wonder what that was. Yeah, it was a big deal.
So many of our listeners probably are like, I would love to see that. You didn't even know.
I didn't, and I'm so sorry that it was wasted on me.
Oh, that's cool though.
And it was very fun. It was very it was fun to be there. It was fun to hear the cheering. I had never been to an international soccer game. I'd never been to a soccer game that wasn't played by children.
Yes. Same.
And like there were the chants, people had their chants. You know, there's a whole culture around sports. Yeah. And it was fun to be an outsider experiencing that.
Totally. And obviously most of the crowd knew who they were watching.
Absolutely.
So that enthusiasm you would have felt that whether or not you knew where it was coming from.
Even my friends knew. I'm just like, oh, here I am at sports.
Plus, you know, at that time, I only know that name now because many of our students love football, as they would call it, which is now what I call it because that's how I hear it talked about mostly. We have an international student body, obviously, and football's so popular. So I only know that name and a couple others and team names from my students telling me about it. So at that time, if someone 15 years ago, 20 years ago had said that name to me, I probably wouldn't have known it either. I can't blame you. It was
very much lost on me, but yeah, it feels a little bit embarrassing to admit that. So there, I've just told the whole internet.
How little you know about football.
Yes. But I wonder, like, as much fun as I had being an outsider watching it, how much more fun would it have been to be an insider, right? To be cheering for your team. Maybe people came from Argentina. I don't know.
Well, and how great that there was an opportunity for people who might not be able to afford those big ticket sporting events. Like, I'm sure there were people there at that time who, right, it was more open to lots of people if the price was so much lower while they were figuring everything out.
You had to get to Qatar.
Yes, but I'm thinking locals.
Okay.
Yeah, a flight across the world, not cheap.
I do remember, we've said this was all in preparation because they were bidding to host the FIFA World Cup. I remember the day it was announced.
Oh.
When the chairman, I guess, of FIFA, it was broadcast. They broadcast it on really big screens in the parks.
Yeah.
The revealing, the big reveal. And when they opened the thing and said Qatar, the country went wild. There were people like honking their horns and driving around and whooping and hollering. It was very exciting.
That is exciting. I like that. It's fun, that feeling when you're in a large group who are having this excitement about anything. That's always such a good feeling.
Yeah. And sports are just such a great way to bring people together.
Absolutely.
Especially in international competition where competition, you're against each other, but
respectfully so.
Yes.
Right? You're competing with respect. I think that's nice. Yeah. Cool. Well, that's it. Those are our lifetime sports experiences.
Oh, it's not true. There's more.
There's more, but those are some of the highlights.
Yeah.
It was interesting to hear about.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to another episode.
Find us on Instagram or YouTube to join the conversation.